Man, Nintendo. Ayo. I love talking about Nintendo. It feels so great to talk about Nintendo, so we gotta talk about it.
Alright, I've had enough of you, Frit. You can't just walk around calling every single Nintendo fan a twig boy.
Loud is not allowed. What the?
Insulting the platform, insulting the legacy, undermining the exclusives.
I'm so curious.
Subscribe. How lucky for me.
Anyways, while we continue to try and get to 110k subs, so I can play you La Cucaracha on guitar on camera, Nintendo's keycard fiasco continues to unfold in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. Now, I could be like Moist Critical and sit here and tell you, the Nintendo keycard situation is insane. But instead of giving you a not so insightful take, Charlie style, we actually have Famitsu doing all the work for us today.
Come on.
Wait, Famitsu?
Do math.
That's right. For once, the Mexican in the room isn't the one having to do any of the work. So I'll be sleeping on your front lawn with my sombrero. Okay, well, I gotta do a little bit of work. I mean, I'm a little busy on the hunt for Raja Jackson, because when I find his ass, this is gonna be me and him. Luckily for Raja, Nintendo has my attention right now with their game keycards. As a company, they have ducked multiple questions involving what is easily their most boneheaded decision thus far. Well, I mean, boneheaded to consumers who care about video game preservation. This is why when Nintendo takes down emulation sites or ROM sites, people get pissed off. While it may be a legally gray area, when ROMs are down and there's no way to access classic titles because Nintendo wants to sit on their IPs for all eternity and do nothing with them.
It's my IP to sit on and do nothing with.
People have to take matters into their own hands. It's why I hope there's somebody out there, quote unquote, stealing or pirating my videos, because if my channel ever gets taken down, I would hope somebody re-uploads my entire work if I'm not here one day. And the same applies to Nintendo games, and that's where keycards ruin everything.
I did not buy
With
a Switch
keycards,
2.
there is no video game preservation. Something that only benefits the greediest of game developers and publishers, who Nintendo is actively working in favor of. Honestly, Frit, you're overblowing this, okay? Maybe you should listen to geniuses like Griffin Gaming.
Dude, I wouldn't even care if Trump was raping kids, to be honest. Like, genuinely.
What?
If he did all the fucking shit that leftists accused him of and was, like, actually kids or whatever on Epstein Island, I can live with that.
What the fuck did I just hear? Also, give me 1 second. I forgot to add my subtitles. What the hell? What? Excuse me? It'd be very concerning if shit like that was real, to be honest, in my personal opinion. That'd be a little bit concerning.
FBI, open up!
On second thought, maybe not. But the point stands. Your whole preservation shit is just a gross exaggeration. I'm glad you think that. Because you know who doesn't think the way you do? Japan and their National Diet Library. Well, they have something to say about video game key cards for the Switch 2,
Oh?
and this is what it is. Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards not eligible for preservation by Japan's National Diet Library, officials say. Storing over 9,600 Japanese video games in proper archival conditions, the National Diet Library is a key institution for domestic game preservation. Jesus Christ!
Oh, shit. Oh, that's interesting to hear that, actually.
It's not even Nintendo's country of origin thinks what they are doing is acceptable. That's hilarious. It was about, what, 2 months ago, Brazil said, fuck you, Nintendo. Now their own country is telling them this is fucked up. Now, in all fairness, Nintendo is like the Disney of Japan, so they got more power than even the government. But the fact...
I don't know about that, to be honest. I don't think so. Basically, the order of keeper of power. So if you control the army, you control the country. So who actually still controls the country? Japan. There's no way Nintendo can buy the entire army. So
That a couple of Twitter users online see nothing wrong with it, while the country that houses this corporate entity knows that this is bad for video game preservation. That's hilarious. It's proof that the loyalty of Nintendo fanboys is not only what financially protects them, but also ethically. With a fan base like that, Nintendo gets full control of the narrative. The National Diet Library, NDL, says that games released on Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards will not be eligible for preservation. The NDL is one of the largest libraries in the world, and it's also Japan's only legal deposit library, meaning that it mandates domestic publishers to submit copies of all new publications for collection and preservation purposes.
That's cool.
As of October 2000, the library started housing media such as video game CDs and cartridges in proper archival conditions, becoming the key institution for preservation of Japanese games. Currently, and
that's actually pretty cool, actually. I wouldn't mind seeing that, actually. We might lose JP manga and anime edge due to freaking lawyers saying idiotic things. Oh, I have no idea what that is. That has nothing to do with this. We're talking about Nintendo right now, so
DL
keep it to
possesses
that. I
over
don't know what subject that is, so I have
9,600
no
video
idea.
game titles, including most titles published domestically since October 2000, only physical releases, and some titles published prior collected via donations. When asked about Switch 2 game key cards, NDL representatives say that only physical media that contains the content itself is considered eligible for preservation. Since a
that's
key
why.
card on
That's
its
why we're talking
own
about something
does
else
not
right now.
qualify
That's
as
why.
content, it falls outside of our scope for collection and preservation.
So they're basically like, so what I'm getting this, right, is that the key cards are not physical games. Even the people at the National Diet Library says those little dinky dinks that Nintendo has on the Switch 2 are not actual physical games. I love it how people were defending Nintendo. Like, I remember we were talking about the Nintendo shit about the key cards or so, and literally in the comment section in that video, we're literally defending Nintendo. We're saying, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. Those are physical games. There's like a bunch of random comments or so in that video. It was crazy reading. Like, I read the comment sections from time to time, right? When I have time, I'll read it and reply to some of them, but not everybody, because, you know, I got things to do at the end of the day. But it's pretty funny to see like some ridiculous out-of-pocket, out-of-take of people either defending this or saying that it is actual physical copies. You don't understand, blah, 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 blah.
As key cards merely serve as a key for downloading a game to your console.
Physical, they need to preserve that game key. Pfft, not if they DDoS the entire server, no.
Console via the internet, the library is essentially treating them the same as digital-only releases. At the same time, contrary to regular digital releases, games stored on keycards require you to insert the keycard into your Switch 2 each time you play, meaning that the physical aspect to them is not zero either, despite game data not actually being stored on them. Japan's NDL has recently begun archiving digital books and magazines, which could mean the rules could change for video games too somewhere down the line. But for now, new games releasing on Switch 2's cheaper alternative to physical cards will be left out from preservation efforts, much like download-only games. So when the biggest body in Japan known for archiving video games to ensure they are preserved for future generations, when they are the ones telling you game key cards do not support preservation, who else is there left to convince you that they should be done with? Because oftentimes these Nintendo
Dan, that's the craziest. That's the craziest afro that one guy on the left has. You know, he looks like Bob Marley. I mean, not Bob Marley. He looks like a fucking Bob Ross. There you go.
will come at you telling you, no. Video game preservation is just another word for piracy. All you guys do is steal Nintendo games. You love PC gaming so much, but it's all full of Nintendo games. Shut the fuck up. Sick of your twig ass. We're talking about a government body that is dedicated to doing this legally the right way. All right? So no more arguing about pirates and ROMs and emulators. We're talking about actual preservation. And again, it's legal. These guys are outright telling you game key cards are bad for future preservation.
Which is true, because there is going to become a point or so where they will shut down the servers for the Nintendo Switch 2. And the question is how, because like, let's say for example, they're on like 4 generations down the line of the Nintendo console, right? And then like they say they're announcing they're going to shut the servers for the Nintendo Switch 2. The question is, all the game key cards and everything like that, how is it even possible that you're going to be able to play them, because you have to download them off their server? So how basically you're just basically buying like a whole library of Nintendo Switch 2 games that are going to become obsolete.
I mean, obviously, you don't need the NDL to tell you that. That was obvious from the start. The whole point is that we do have a legal body that aims to do what all these Nintendo guys accuse pirates of doing. And they are outright pointing to you the flaws and the harm that come from
No, they're
game key
buying it,
cards.
so-
And if that's not enough for Nintendo guys, well, we got a little more. Because like I said earlier in the video, then Famitsu comes out to question Nintendo, who dodged their question like Bush dodged a shoe. In an article published on August 25th, 2025, Famitsu, the largest gaming media outlet in Japan, asked Nintendo for the reason why the company decided to adopt game key cards as a physical medium for Nintendo Switch 2. Instead of directly answering the question, a press representative from Nintendo completely dodged the question.
Damn, they're like, nah, I ain't gonna answer that question for you. we don't have an answer. Don't ask me. I don't have the answer.
And instead answered how game key cards work, which everyone should know by now.
Game keycard are one of the new way we deliver gamer to customers.
Oh my god, he's putting on a Japanese accent. Oh my, dude, that's fucking crazy that he's doing that. Yo, that's racist. It's perfect, to be honest.
Although an internet connection is required to download game data for the first time, players can play the game even though without an internet connection, just by having the game keycard inserted in the console.
That's terrible, to be honest. Nintendo wanted to say, we don't give a fuck, obey and consume, that is all. What is this? Basically, Japan is investigating Nintendo's shenanigans with their game key card.
It's a total dodge! Mr. Miyake has been training Nintendo representatives extra hard, eh? There's obvious reasons why Nintendo doesn't want to answer that question, and I think I know why. Nintendo this generation is desperate for third-party support, because every generation it's been trash. Easily the weakest third-party support of any platform. And in order to maintain any support, they have to let third-party publishers in to violate their console any single way they want and have their way with it, as long as the end result is that a third-party publisher can exist on their platform. Because let's face it, when it comes to a lot of these third-party published games, they always sell the lowest on Nintendo consoles. So the incentive to even port their games to such a console is almost at times unprofitable. And that's where they want to cheap out. They want to give you game key cards, which not only saves them the cost of producing physical media, but also ensures that you never really actually own their games on your console. Hilarious though that with even their billions upon billions of yen, they still couldn't come up with a good PR answer. It's like trying to ask AI, why are things the way they are? And honestly, I'm not even sure why, because at this point, there's no harm in telling people the truth. Nintendo's reputation doesn't matter. They have a fan base who will purchase new games from them just because they are new.
I can't wait. I really cannot wait until they shut down the servers for Nintendo Switch 2, and then it's gonna be causing a big hoopla, you know? I can't wait. I literally cannot wait when that happens. It's gonna be the greatest thing in the entire world when I see it.
Nothing else. as if it's an obligation of theirs. Nintendo has nothing to lose from telling people why they did this. The answers are blatantly obvious, though. It's all out of greed, desperation, and a lack of accountability. This form of pseudo-physical media is an easy out for them because they're not the ones doing it. Third-party publishers are, but not us. We're the good guys, although we are the ones allowing it to happen. While there may be a lot of hate for game key cards, Nintendo's simply too successful to care. And yet in spite of that,
That's
they
true.
just don't seem to realize that they shot themselves in.
Physical, the only thing physical is me beating that ass. Love the mighty Keith skin. It would happen because Nintendo fanboys like eating shit. Yeah, but they're gonna eventually turn off the servers for the Nintendo Switch 2. They're going to, so.
In the foot. They did all of that just to ensure third party could make it to their device. And those game key cards are gonna be the reason why third party sells even less. And when they pull away from Nintendo yet again, they're gonna sit there all Pikachu faced out asking what went wrong. Because a huge part of the reason why some people would probably choose a third-party Switch 2 port over a Steam Deck.
I've always hated Nintendo ever since, bro. Like Nintendo has been hated on ever since they started copyrighting YouTube channels for music for Nintendo to preserve the OST for video games. Yeah, of course. And then they started hating, and then they started striking down YouTubers for reacting or anything like related to Nintendo. So why the fuck wouldn't I be angry at them? I've always hated them. The shit that they've been doing or so ever since the previous owner died or so, you know, or passed away, they've been going shit. So it's rightfully so.
Version or a ROG Ally X version could all be due to the fact that the Switch 2 is the only handheld that supports physical media. That is a huge selling point of the device. To undo that incentive makes no sense. People obsessed with collecting are a huge contributor to Nintendo's sales. And these game key cards will not hold the same value as actual physical media. No collector is going to want to give two shits about these. As you can see, there's clearly a huge discussion around it, and Nintendo actively avoided having that discussion.
Of course.
In spite of the fact that they put out a survey collecting data from thousands of users about their experience with game key cards. You would figure they have more to say on it now, but instead they chose to shut down that question with a non-answer. The NDL recognizes everything wrong with game key cards. The public recognizes everything wrong, and Nintendo has nothing to say about it. The most cowardly approach they could have taken. Because if they were forced to answer for themselves, then they might have to reconsider some things, and reconsidering things is a lot of work for Nintendo. I mean, they're hard at work still trying to figure out how to make rounded edges in their game engines, or how to get a stable online connection in video games. You
I'd
know,
rather make my own console if I want a stable one and get one of those ROG Ally ones.
for a game company decades behind everyone else, I always question how they're put front and center as the innovators when they still, to this day, can't figure out how to get third-party support the proper way. Because of the horrendous optimization and ugly-ass visuals of their...
Well, even then, on top of that, it's like, why would you want to buy a third-party game from Nintendo when it's not even the physical copy of the game itself? I'd rather buy it either on the PS5. If I was still on console, right, and I wanted a physical copy of the game itself, I'd rather buy it. And it's available on console, right? Let's say, for example, one game is available on everything, and I want the physical copy of it. I'd rather get it for the PS5 or the Xbox instead of Nintendo, because it's just a digital code. So I need to pop that in to re-download, and I have to download the data from the Nintendo servers in order for me to play it. So it's not even like an actual like copy of it. That's why recently third-party games has just not been doing very well on the Nintendo. Like, they've been doing okay. Like, apparently Cyberpunk was the only one that sold pretty well because it's an actual physical copy of the cartridge itself instead of it like being a digital key card. But even it's not even that much. It was like it wasn't even sold that much in general. So it's just like, yeah, it did well, but it's not like crazy. I was like, yeah, that's the only one. But the other third-party games that were sold on that console was not selling well.
Switch 2 ports aren't bad enough as it is. Handing people a code in a box or a game key card doesn't make it any better. At that point, you question, why did you even bother? Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you so choose to on the road to 200K. That being said,
Some games on disc is also a game key console lane safe. Yeah, that's true. But like even then, I could still play it even without connecting to the online server or so. The only ones that the only ones I know, there are some games that you have to have connectivity, and I always avoid those games. Like I always do avoid those games, even back then or so. Like I still have some games here that I can just pop into my console and just play it whenever I want to, you know. But I know there's some that require you to have an online, you know, an online part for it, which I personally disagree with that. But even then, and on top of that too, I still have my PSP and my PS Vita, and I can just pop in the game or so, and I can just play it instantly. So, and even then, the PS Vita is the one that has like little cartridges, you know. Like I bought a Japanese game for the PS Vita, and I could just pop it in and play it whenever I want to, you know. And that's the only thing. So, yeah, like there's some games that I avoid that requires you to be online. I know there's some, you know, that's why I always avoid them every single time. So, but yeah. Anyways, it is pretty cool though to see that that even the preservations for Nintendo games are not accepting Nintendo Switch 2 games because they're not real physical copies. And for people who keep defending them, they were defending the shit out of this when I made that video or so talking about like the Nintendo Switch 2 being released and everything. They were literally defending the shit out of it. Like no joke. There were some comment sections on that video when they announced, when they were doing the live stream for it. I was like, what the fuck is this? There was like some people really badly defending it. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, you guys are crazy people. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. Overall, I ain't still buying a Nintendo Switch 2. That's all I gotta say. And nobody else should buy one too as well, because you're just wasting your money at the end of the day. So wait until they turn off the servers for that Nintendo Switch 2. Let's see, keep fighting Nintendo stand. Shut the fuck up, Dubstep. I swear to God, the Black Delegation has a word with you. Anyways, that's the end of the video, and peace.